The Florida Gators defensive line just might be the most impressive thing about this roster right now.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Joining me now for Locked On Gators once again is Brooks Austin of the Film Guy Network. And Brooks, you put out now 2 videos about the Florida Gators spring game here. And I'm going to just throw a blanket one out there for you right now. What would you think is what would you say was your biggest takeaway? Obviously not, doesn't have to be like a hot take or anything, but just what was the clearest takeaway that you had from the spring game?
Size and mass and weaponry would be what I would point to. The amount of depth on the defensive line is staggering. Like I watched the second half just this morning and recorded it prior to doing this. The second half of our film study, and we got into like the deeper part of the roster, right? The 2s, 3s, walk-ons type reps. And this number 22 flashes up, this 6'5", 240-pound edge rusher that I guess transferred from UMass like a year ago or something like that. This dude pops out of nowhere and puts on like a high-quality rush against a guy who started a bunch of games last year for you guys. The big right tackle, number 63, played a lot of snaps last year, right, Brandon? Like, played a lot of SEC play. And, like, for my money, didn't do terribly. Like, he wasn't horrible. He wasn't like, hey, we got to get rid of this guy, replace him. But he looked not great on that film because just got thrown. Dude after dude gets thrown in front of him. Like, I'm bad with names. I'm a numbers guy. I know LJ McCray because I watched him out of high school and followed his recruitment process really closely because I thought he was going to be a blue chipper, and he's turning out to be that. That kid's massive. He's walking through humans because he's so big and strong. And then 14, the young kid, the freshman, he's 6'4", 250, 245, 6'5", 245, 250, but looks almost small out there because of how just massive everybody else is. And then I tweeted about this, Brandon. He's got about, I don't know, a dozen 6'3" plus, 305-pound plus humans to just throw out there. The kid from Jacksonville State, number 99, 6'6", 305, like, good luck. Like, there's a clip of somebody trying to y'all run a lot of counter now. That Buster's down there. Everybody runs counter, but Buster's like the counter like guy. Y'all trying to pull and kick that dude, and it's like, I mean, the definition of running your head into a brick wall. So that would be my general takeaway. And that was my primary tweet watching it. Was like, I know Summerall's upset, and this is the way he is. He's going to find something and harp on it. It's never good enough. That's the way all the great coaches are. I know he talked about it afterwards. The offensive line's not good enough. We got to get better. Hey, some of these guys got to whatever. We're going to have a serious conversation and whatnot. But my takeaway was, dear God, look at all of those defensive linemen. I mean, look at all of them. He's got way too many of them almost. I was staggered. I was impressed that he maintained all of those bodies. Because normally when we have a turnover, it wasn't new, by the way. Anybody who looked at that roster last year in person was like, dear God, they got 30 bodies over there, 30 humans that need to play it like in this conference and can play in this conference. So that was my main takeaway.
Yeah, I was the same way with the defensive line. And I was someone going into the offseason that the defensive line was one area that I felt pretty good about. I did. And then, you bring in guys like 99 Emmanuel Ibadejo from Jacksonville State. And that dude, when you're in person with him, I stood right next to him and I just went, dude, like that. I was like, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to obviously have to bleep myself here, but I saw him in person. I was just like, I feel like I'm next to you. Like, it's just, there's like, you're huge. Like, it's crazy. And so you got a ton of size there. LJ McCray is someone that I was pleasantly surprised with. He played 4 snaps in 2025. And that's it. He missed the first game, came back from injury, played 4 snaps, got injured and ended his season right there. 2024 was a great year on film for him, obviously a true freshman. So that's fine. And I'd heard such good things about him all spring. And I was like, you know what? I need to see him do it against people, right? Like, I don't care the clips they were getting of him doing it against a sled or whatever it is. Yeah. I need to see him do it against people. And I feel like in the spring game, he did it against people. And even to your tweet was, if I'm not mistaken, it was like I know that Summerall is upset with the offensive line, but I think he's just got monsters on the defensive line as well. And I think it's both. I do. I think that the offensive line
Yeah.
needs work. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. The defensive line just looks awesome right now. And I do like that with the new defensive scheme, they get to be a bit more aggressive and attack a bit more. And that's really going to benefit just honestly all of them. And especially when you talk about, we have these heavy rotations going on. You got dudes that can play, keep everybody fresh. That's going to be a lot for the season.
The very first thing every coordinator, if at least I was a coordinator, the very first thing I would sit down with my staff on Monday and Sunday afternoon facing Florida's defense this year would be, how do we run around these guys? Because we're not going to run at them. They're too damn big. So how do we pick them? How do we truck toss them? How do we get around them? Because running at them is just not. I don't know if it's going. I don't know if it's going to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, again, like this, it's fun to have a good defensive line, and also with the offensive line, I do think it's important to note that I think Zach Ebelverdi with Gators Online put out the actual reporting of the rotations there, but Florida tried 9 different offensive line combinations in this game because they're still trying to figure out basically who the tackles are. I don't think they have any idea. I think they're figuring out the interior, but so much rotation going up against that insane defensive line and the rotation there. I feel like that is hopefully going to be an iron sharpens iron thing for the Florida Gators offensive line.
Brandon, did he bring any of those Tulane offensive linemen with him? Because there was particularly the left guard was a young kid that I scouted and was like, or scouted like watching him on playoff tape. It was like, dear God, who is this? Did he bring any of them with him?
I think he went to Houston, but nope. The only players that John Summerall brought from Tulane were Patrick Durkin and Alec Clark, a kicker and a punter. Everybody else.
Well, there you go.
I think you're talking about, I think his name's Shadre Hurst was the left guard from Tulane. That is now I think
sounds right. Sawed off like he's probably too short armed and too short to play in this conference. But my God, he was burying people. Go watch his 2 games against Ole Miss, and you're gonna be like, whoa, this is crazy. But I just asked because it'll get fixed. I think because they were good line of scrimmage football teams at Tulane his entire time there, as were they at Troy. And those are practice habits is what that is, in my opinion. It's practice habits and understanding what quality coaching at those position coaches looks like as a head coach. And he's checked that box 2 times over. I would imagine he's going to do it 3 times over.
Yeah, that was the thing that we also I don't remember how much we talked about it last time you were on the show, but the coaching staff, the way he's filled it out, we've talked a lot about Buster Faulkner and Brad White. But I also do think it's very important to note that his 2 most proven non-coordinators are the trenches. He's got Gerald Chapman back, who was here last year, and then he's got Phil Trotwan on the offensive line. And so I think that Johnson, he just gets it, right? Like he gets like, hey, we could talk about all this fun, high-flying offense. We could talk about all that. But the ass kickers are in the trenches, and that's going to find team success. And I do think that he's kind of really doing a good job of just positioning them in the trenches to just be able to compete, which we didn't get under Napier.
I thought one of the coolest things to watch about that spring game was how they wanted to obviously script explosive opportunities for their quarterbacks, while also making sure that they did not show anything. It was very base install. And the way you do this is running double moves, right? Like getting out into spread out formations, putting guys outside the numbers and having them run slants and goes, having them run hitches and goes, things that every offense runs, every defense has to prepare for, but is like stock. It's like base stuff. You know what I mean? It's not, we're not giving the audience or the opposing coach anything at all, while also giving our quarterbacks opportunities to be explosive downfield, right? And giving them very similar opportunities. When I watched it, I felt like Philo got 2 or 3 chances to take these hitches and goes, take these double moves. I think I gave Tramell one of the classic deep scissors concepts to Eric Singleton for a touchdown. That is staple Buster Faulkner offense. Like that's not everybody that's preparing for Buster knows we got to prepare for that stuff. I thought that was really important to note because, again, very much so like we were talking about with Summerall, I think he's very aware of everything. Everything is planned. Everything is scripted. Everything has a purpose. And that looked balanced to me. That looked like we're going to give both of these guys the almost similar opportunity. Hell, even the defensive structures that they were playing in those shot opportunities were identical. So that's all scripted. That's all planned. We want to see what these guys look like in similar situations, and we have to force our hand in that when we have the opportunity to do so. And spring days are great opportunities to do that.
Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping that the right candidate stumbles across your post. Your stat says it all, right? In the minute that I'll be talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing actual candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching, more time interviewing, less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying that you heard about us on Indeed. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. If you want ad-free episodes of Locked On Gators, just join the Everydayer Club, plus a members-only Discord access. All you got to do, join at lockedongators.supercast.com. And without further ado, right back to Brooks Austin. Yeah, and I mean, we can have that quarterback conversation here. Obviously, in the spring game, Aaron Philo threw 2 interceptions. Tramell Jones did not throw any. Tramell Jones connected on one of those double moves to Micah Mays for a 75-yard touchdown there. What were your, I'm going to say, general takeaways from the quarterback position for the Florida Gators, at least from Tramell Jones and Aaron Philo?
Well, first of all, like the interceptions, like they were good decisions. Like one was a bad ball placement. The Vernell Brown interceptions, like we were supposed to put that on his face. There's no reason to elevate that football. The linebacker, if I remember correctly, that would be in that hook curl window is like mugged up. He's near the line of scrimmage. So there's no reason to airmail that ball over the line of scrimmage unless we're nervous and we're just kind of spraying it. All right. So that's the first thing about that interception. The other one's an RPO interception. Every quarterback in their mama that's ever getting put into an RPO situation can make that interception. That's a great play by that linebacker. I think number 33. Safety. Yeah, great play by that guy. Not so much like, oh, dang, our quarterback's making bad decisions. I also thought of all of the throws that I saw in the film that I got, it's like I probably watched 40 snaps. The biggest NFL throw of the day came from Philo in a 2-minute drill. They're running rush 3, drop 8, and the only place the ball should go pre-snap and then confirmed post-snap is in the middle of the field. And in order to do so, we have to throw underneath the hook curl defender and get the ball back down underneath the safety. And it is an elite throw. I mean, I think they throw it to Micah Mays. It's a great concept against rush 3, drop 8, but it requires an NFL throw. And I thought Philo ripped it and threw it perfectly on time with tremendous pace, rhythm, and confidence. And that's important. I get the hype about Tramell. I do. Anytime there's a talented throw over the football, anytime the ball comes out pretty, anytime we see that constantly, we are going to love that. We're going to race to that. We're going to want to chase that. I'm going to tell you, though, just like every Florida football fan in this discussion, they have already made up their mind. I've already made up my mind, and I made up my mind before spring practice, and that's on me. I'm a Philo guy. If you watch my Philo breakdown of his stuff at Tech, it's very apparent. If you know where I'm located right now, and if you know my proximity to this young man's recruitment, based off where I'm located right now, you would understand this. He went to Prince Avenue Christian. That is like 30 minutes from where we were recording this right now. He led the Georgia high school state in passing and has the records. This is a dude. I believe him to be a guy. I think he plays the position at a really, really high level. What's scaring me is finding out that we're turning the ball over. What I would like to know, I understand what happened in the spring game. You told me he was turning it over in all the scrimmages, apparently. What I would like to know is Are those turnovers where you're trying to figure out what you can get away with during spring practice? Or are those turnovers where you're not seeing players that you should see? Are those tight window competitive ball got tipped interceptions? Or are those you coming off the field going, shit, coach, my bad, I didn't see him? I watched a lot of that with Florida the last couple of years. That's DJ Lagway. I can't do that.
Who did that?
All right? That's Lagway. That's too. We can't have that. We can't have I didn't see him interceptions. And by the way, he didn't have any of those this past weekend. Those were bad spots and great plays by defense. So if it's been that this spring, I'm cool. I'm going to ride being a Philo guy because, again, I made up my mind. I'm already predisposed to and I'll be forthcoming with that. I'm biased. I think this guy's a dude, and I would be willing to give him 6 games to fail. You know what I mean? Before we ride somebody else.
Yeah. I will say the interception to 33, DJ Coleman, was Philo obviously threw the pick. John Summerall comes out after the game and goes, that was a great play by the defense. And I think what throws a lot of people, and myself as well, for a little bit of a loop, is that when DJ Coleman spoke about it, he kind of said, like, Philo was just looking at me. Like he's like, I saw Philo just looking at me, and then he threw it in. So that makes me be like,
because he's the read. He's supposed to be. That's where his eyes are supposed to be. It's an RPO. Again, every quarterback can make that mistake, that it gets put into an RPO situation. It's why it is the one downfall about RPOs. It is a very bang, 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 quick decision. Our eyes are locked on one spot because it's called our cone vision. Our cone vision's on about 2 players. It's defensive end. It also happens to be that linebacker that's stacked right behind him. So, yeah, we're staring right there. And, the linebacker did a great job of stopping, realizing the ball's been pulled, and then getting vertical. You rarely see that ball get picked off. Normally, that ball gets tipped and then picked. Rarely does it get plucked out of the air. That's why it was such a great play. It's such a great play by 33. It's instinctual, it's athletic, and we showed hands as a linebacker. That I again, as a football observer, I would never, ever, ever, no matter the quarterback, look at an interception like that and go, ooh, we can't do that at quarterback. You know what I mean? Like we're all going to have that happen to us occasionally in RPO football. By the way, it's why Hugh Freeze, who has led the nation in RPO football over the years in SEC, it's why he has histories of and years of so many turnovers, because this happens to them. All right. I think he went 8 out of 13 years as a head football coach with 20 plus turnovers. That happens. When you build your offense off of RPOs, you're going to do this. Good thing is Florida doesn't build off of RPOs. They build off the counter game. They build off of running the football. So that's what Buster does.
Yeah, DJ Coleman, who came away with that interception, someone they're very high on coming over. He's just I know you don't generally keep up with probably the Florida transfer portal guys, but he came over from Baylor, was a deep safety prior, started playing star, going to be all around the secondary this year. So really high hopes for him. If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. Tracks all of your subscriptions in one spot, lets you know about upcoming bills and upcoming payments that need to be made, and can help you cancel the ones that you don't need in just a few easy taps. It just makes everything feel more organized and give you a clearer picture of your finances on a day-to-day basis. You can check your credit score on there. You can do a bunch of things with Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. I will also say with this quarterback competition, you've been very open. You're not unbiased here. You have your guy that you're picking. A lot of the fan base does the same thing, right? Like a lot of the fan base goes, oh, I want it to be Philo. I want it to be Tramell for whatever reason. And not many of them make a lot of sense because at least from Florida Gators fans, when we're watching this spring, like you saw what, 20 throws max from each of them in this spring game. Most of what us fans have seen prior to during this spring was one-on-ones, routes on air. Like we've never seen them actually play quarterback, but everyone has this like firm stance that they're taking. And I do think that it's important to just constantly remind the fan base, which is what I'm trying to do, that we have seen such a small sample size of what's actually going into this decision for however real this quarterback battle may be. We've seen such a small sample size of what's actually making that decision. And you could say, hey, I didn't like what Philo did in the spring game. And it's like, okay, maybe for all you know, if you didn't like that, that was just a bad day. If you loved what Tramell did, you could just say, hey, that might have just been a good day for him. But I do think it's important to remember that, like you mentioned, especially context with the turnovers. We don't know. I've seen there was one interception. I forgot who threw it, but one website reported it as it hit the wide receiver in the hands and then got picked. And another website reported it as it was behind the receiver and then got picked. And it's like
That's
could be
that's the Philo Vernell Brown interception for sure. And again, that's a bad ball placement. Yep. It's a bad ball, and I think we can clean that stuff up. What we can't clean up is bad decision making. If we're consistently making bad decisions, which, by the way, I didn't see any of that at the quarterback position in what we saw. But again, I think they were running very vanilla stuff. So I did see a moment where Vernell kind of sacked himself. Not either. I think he got tricked by coverage. It looked man pre-snap, and they bumped into some zone and rubbed all of their hook curls. So it was really, really tough read for the Q. But we actually had clean protection for the first time, and we kind of double spin around. We try to start scramble drill left, and then we roll back right, and then we end up falling down and sacking ourselves. That's just young player stuff. That is stuff that we need to get reps out of. And then what I will say is based off rep share, there isn't a guy. It looked to me like they kind of split up the duties with the ones as much as they possibly could. And that checks out with Summerall. I don't, and that new culture of coaching where it's meaning he's new to that culture and they're trying to establish a culture of competition. You ain't going to lean anyway. We're not going to give any type of, I did love that he said he is going to have a serious conversation with both these kids and tell them, if we played tomorrow, this is what we would do. I love hearing that. I would love hearing that as a player as well, knowing that, hey, he's not ducking this from me. I also think that's only allowed because we don't have a second spring window, but hey, transfer portal window. That's the advantages of this because we do need this. We need hard coaching as athletes. We need to know where we're at. We need to be self-aware, self-critical of where we need to grow in order to get where we want to go. All of those things are needed. And all of those things weren't available to coaches at their disposal, except for at certain programs this time last year. And I thought that was honestly a massive detriment to development across the sport. If I can't coach you hard and let you know where you're at because I'm worried about you leaving in 3 days, I kind of wasted our last month,
Yeah, and I also think that that's such a good opportunity to have going into the summer for the players, right? You get to say,
100%.
Hey, Tramell, I need you to, I don't know, learn the playbook more. Aaron Philo, you got to work on turnovers, whatever it is. Just two random things to pick. And it's okay, now I know that going into the summer. If I'm told, hey, this is where this is where they need me to step up, and I'm behind right now in this competition, that helps me kind of learn.
As opposed to this post-spring practice 15-day window where I got to act like I really, really love everything that is about you instead of telling you what you need to hear.
Yep.
That is, oh my God, so detrimental to 19 to 23-year-old men. Yeah, it's come on. I'm glad we got rid of it, honestly.
Yeah, which is also ironic because John Summerall has been I wish we had it. he's been like, I wish we had it because I think we need help. So
yeah, and I understand that. I get that. He's a brand new football coach. Talk to me in 3 years when he's built this like he wants to build it. When it's about I like what I got, I want to retain what I got, I want to develop what I got, I want to be able to coach what I got hard. Right now, it's if you don't like what I got going on, you can get up out of here. And I'm sure he would love an opportunity to get rid of some of that and add some new fresh blood on top of what he did, this offseason. The retention, though, of what he did on that roster was flabbergasting, keeping all of those dudes on that roster. And then the one who my interpretation of the quarterback discussion with the guy who left was nothing is promised to you. You can come in here and compete. And matter of fact, talk to me about some of this stuff that happened last year. What's going on here? And he thought he was going to get a, hey, we love you, will you stay type of conversation. And that kind of ruffled him. That was my interpretation of what happened, Brandon. I could be wrong. But I like that this has been a culture of, we are going to compete. If you don't like that, there's the door.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And like you mentioned, with Lagway last year, it was just really weird. Because both parties immediately came out and they were just like, well, we've been trying to get in touch with him, but they're ghosting us. And both sides was doing that. And it was just like, okay, at that point, I don't even care. It just seems messy. But I will ask, going into spring compared to now after the spring game, now actually seeing, I don't want to say getting to see things of legitimate substance, but getting to see some of this team, some of this roster. How do you feel, we'll say expectation wise, for the Florida Gators right now?
So I put that we did this SEC tiers category the other day, and like I mentally put them automatically at 8-4 in my brain, because they were a 9-3 core talent roster last year if they had a semblance of coaching, like consistent coaching, elite coaching. If they had that, they were going to be something else. And like I just told you, I thought they retained most of what I loved about the roster. So that's important to me. I'm also a huge Buster and Brad White guy, and I'm a Summerall guy. I seem to like what is getting put down. I don't think it's out of the shadow of possibility where we turn a 9-3 year one. I don't want to set that on his expectations and be like, hey, it's a failure if we don't do that. I think I would look at that funny if it was 7-5 year one. It's definitely 6-6. I think more of him than that. I think more of the roster than that. I think more of Buster than that. I think more of Brad White than that. I think highly of this, guys. I think this is going to work. I do.
Yeah, I think you nailed. I think love John Summerall. Love both coordinators. Love that you have just dudes in the trenches as your position coaches there. I think that automatically raises both your floor and your ceiling. And again, like you mentioned,
Brendan, I talked to so many football coaches last year that got done playing Florida and would call me and go, I don't know what's going on there, but I don't know how we won that game today.
Yeah, I mean,
I walked out pre-practice and thought, or I walked out pregame and thought, You know how many times I heard that about Florida last year? The last freaking 4 years. I mean, it's been holy hell. Look at those guys, and then they end up losing 27-14. And it's like, what? So
I'll pat myself on the back for spending all summer going, well, if coaching catches up to the talent, this is going to be a really good football team. And I also do think that it's a testament to the talent that was on this roster that a lot of guys that left went SEC, went Power 4, as opposed to, we left and ended up going G5, right?
Ain't no Middle Tennessee States on the retreads out there.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, I think that's a testament, because we've seen that in prior Napier years, was guys would leave and then go G5 and find playing time there. And we had, 2 defenders went to Ole Miss, 2 defenders went to Kentucky, your quarterback went to Baylor, which we could just move on one. Your tight end went to Baylor. Like, one of your tight ends went to Oklahoma. Like, you got a bunch of guys that went to other Power 4 programs.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a testament to the actual talent on the team there.
And it confirms all of what we're saying is confirmed by the fact that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Summerall basically maintained the entire recruiting department. He tweaked a lot of stuff, but he basically maintained the people who were heavily involved with getting the players that they had. And that means he likes what they were doing. He recognized the same thing with now, I don't love the strength and conditioning coach, but he thinks the guy's a guru. He's talked to him. I don't love what I've seen over the years. Like the nose tackle staying 500 pounds forever was like, what are we doing? It's like way too much weight on a lot of football players.
So that is he retained one of the main nutritionists.
Strength
but
and not the strength and conditioning staff.
He took his strength and conditioning coach from
brought the strength and conditioning staff, kept the nutritionist because he likes the nutritionist. Okay. All I will say about the roster as a whole, the last 4 years, thank you for the correction. I needed that. We could trim some fat. We could trim some body fat entirely across the roster. Okay. And I think that would make us better. Like, there is this new trend. I got to talk to coaches about this. There's this new trend where everywhere I look, we got 238, 242-pound linebackers again. What is this? This is a 235 position, 230-pound position nowadays. Like, whoa. I look at Alabama's got 5 of them that are like 243 pounds. I'm like, what? Guys, did I wake up in 2010? What is going on here? Y'all got them. Y'all got like 4 of them that are, I'm talking about thick. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, guys, it's a 53.5 sport nowadays. That's what I watch. I watch dudes going this way all the time. So that's the only thing I would say is like, hey, we could lose about 10% weight and body fat across board.
Yeah, you mentioned in your breakdown, you had you pointed out 29, Jaden Robinson, who is we'll say sawed off, right? We can call him that. Little bit of a sawed off linebacker. And you mentioned Aaron Childs, number 8, who I mean, he's big as hell.
Massive. I mean, God. I mean, look, hey, the good thing is if you're gonna be that big, you better play that big. And Childs ran through the face of not just a guard. He took a down block on, knocked the down block off so damn bad. He took out the puller behind him. And it's like, hey, if we're gonna be that big, you better play like that. So they know what they're doing. I always make these comments. I'm like, dude, they got the GPS metrics. If the SOB can run 22 miles an hour at 245, why do we need to make them 235? Let's just let him be an alien. Like, I'm sure they have far more metrics than I do. I'm just a fat-headed dude in a basement watching film. So, but I like them fast. I like them twitchy. I like them all over the place. That's what I like them at linebacker. So it's great that you can run through an MFer's face. I need you to run the truck toss down, big dog. That's what I need you to do.
Did you I don't know if you happen to see this at all, because obviously you had another video that I have not seen at the time of recording this. Did you happen to note number 50 at all on defense? 6 feet tall, 261 pounds at linebacker.
No, I didn't peep him.
Yeah,
but I probably should have. That sounds like a fire hydrant. My God.
You want to talk about
what is this? When did this start again?
He gained a ton of weight when he got a knee injury. He gained a ton of weight with a knee injury in high school. Yeah. And he's been trimming down. He's been dropping it big, but yeah, he was a big dude. Malik Morris is a true freshman out of Lakeland High School, but he's a 10. You want to talk about sawed off linebackers? That's Malik Morris right there. But thank you so much, Brooks. This is awesome. I love every time we get to link up and talk spring game and talk Florida football. Don't forget to check out Brooks Austin with the Film Guy Network. I mean, at the time that you're watching this, I might be watching what they just did with their second video about Florida. But thank you so much, Brooks.
No doubt, Brandon. Appreciate you for having me.
Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free. With the podcast and on YouTube. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. And all my written work about the Florida Gators with swampsignal.substack.com. And I will see you all next time.